So you exited the business on Qura.com. Was there a ton of buyer interest? Like, what was that initial buyer process and screening look like?
Yeah, there was tons of buyer interest. I was basically investing all of my salary into
Oh,
like my businesses.
damn.
So like I had an agency and I started working really hard to automate it. I had a crypto, I had like the Mutinate in crypto, which was pretty big at the time. And so I used that to get tons of roles because people would see this PFP and they would not think it's like a 18-year-old kid.
That's something that you need to be careful of as a seller, especially if there are like competitors or other agency owners, that are just like looking at your stats.
We built
Yeah.
it March 2024, sold it March 2025, and that's what it was with Qura, where the product was very simple, like a Chrome
Hmm.
extension, doing replies for Twitter.
Anybody that has a business that's making $500 a month or $500,000 a month, like it's very difficult to know when to actually exit. Welcome to the first episode of our podcast. Today we're here with Johann Sathianathen, and he's currently 21 years old, building a portfolio of software companies. But he started his journey a long time ago. He was actually Cisco's youngest full-time engineer at 18, choosing to um, take the decision to not go to college, just get into the job market full time right from the start. He quit Cisco 3 months in, and very quickly sold his first software company at the age of 20. And we're really happy to have him on the episode together. Today, we're just going to be talking about his exit specifically and around the portfolio of software companies that he's building at Jars Global. Thanks a lot for joining us, Johan. How are you doing, man?
Thank you so much. I'm doing really good after that intro. That sounds very nice. I'm honored to be here. You're doing tons of cool stuff in this space, so excited to talk today.
Thank you, man. Thank you. And you're traveling quite a bit yourself, right? I think you're moving around, building your portfolio of startups. How's that going?
It's been nice. Right now I'm in China. I launched a
Nice.
new company actually with someone in the SEO space. So there's an SEO conference in Shenzhen, and he's speaking at the event. So he's helping promote the product that we started. And
Nice.
so yeah, this week in Shenzhen, just promoting that product. Pretty nice.
Nice. Nice. Sounds like a pretty fun lifestyle, honestly.
But yes, I like the traveling, but I think I've come across Chiang Mai, and that's my favorite place to focus. So after this, probably be there for all of next 3 months. Q4, just
Nice.
focus in Chiang Mai.
Yeah, just lock in.
Yes, exactly. I think that's the place to be to focus.
Dude, that's awesome. I feel like it's the dream for probably like majority of the people listening to this, and just to be able to like have that freedom, that to travel wherever you want, work on whatever you want, you know. Um, so yeah, I think like a lot of this freedom maybe might have started back when you decided to not go to college and go to Cisco to work there full time. Do you mind like taking me through that decision a bit? Was it a hard one, an easy one for you to make?
Yeah, I feel like deep down I was always like I was never really a rule follower. Always got in trouble in school. I didn't go the main route, and so
Yeah.
like in my head I knew like high school I basically cheated my way through all of high school. I remember people saying like homework was hard. They were spending hours on it, but I would be spending like an hour on homework and playing games because I would find a way to like cheat the system.
Yeah.
It was extremely easy before AI existed. You can still search up test answers, tons of crazy ways to get stuff done without actually doing the work. And then yeah, when college came around, I was gonna do computer science, but my brother he got a computer science role, and he was
Hmm.
saying how he doesn't really use his degree. And I actually got an offer from Cisco right out of high school to be an apprentice, and that was like a decent salary, but it wasn't necessarily worth leaving
Yeah.
college for, but it that was sort of one of the things that like pushed me where I was okay, I can sort of fulfill this or like go down this path. And then after that, I started working at like tons of pre-seed or like very early stage startups, like people who just had
Mm-hmm.
ideas, they needed people to
Yeah.
build it. I had a crypto, I had like the Mutinate in crypto, which was pretty big at the time, and so I used that to get tons of roles because people would see this PFP and
Yeah.
they would not think it's like a 18-year
A
old
kid,
kid
yeah.
who had it. So like they'd see a developer with Mutant Ape, they'd be like, okay, this guy is good. And then after that, yeah, I applied to like tons of jobs. I remember just spending
Nice.
hours applying to jobs.
That's really interesting. So what was it like? Like you were at Cisco, 18 years old, you know? Did you feel like shit, like there's some kind of imposter syndrome? Or did you feel like, I made the right decision, I'm in the right place?
Biggest imposter syndrome ever. Like my first day, I basically wasted my whole first day because they grouped me with the interns. All
Yeah.
the interns were like 19. Oh, I think the youngest intern was actually like 20. Like there was,
Yeah.
like they all saw me. They were like,
Like
"What's going
juniors,
on here?"
yeah.
Yeah, and they had like the intern onboarding, and so my manager just sent me
Hmm.
to that. She's like,
Yeah.
"Oh, it's good to get onboarded," but they were all doing stuff for interns. I remember playing basketball. Like Cisco had a basketball court gym,
Nice.
and I went there, and I was like, "Oh yeah, I'm 18," and they're like, "Oh, I heard about you. Someone was saying there's an 18-year-old who didn't go to college." And they're like, "Is that actually true? You didn't go to college? Do you have like a family friend in Cisco who got you a referral? Did your dad get you
Yeah.
a referral?" I was like, "No, I didn't. I didn't get any referrals. I don't know anyone who works here. I purely just went through the system just like everyone else." So it was pretty funny.
If I'm not wrong, you were only there for like less than 6 months, right?
I was there for 1 year
Or
exactly.
you were there for a year. Got it.
Yes. I think I learned a lot at that at Cisco, and like one of the biggest things I've learned is that lean teams move way way faster.
Hmm. Yeah.
I remember one of the things I did. So I did like enterprise networking, and we worked with clients like
Hmm.
Apple, Netflix, and they give requests. And I think one of the things took like 3 months from request to like the
Yeah.
client having it back.
Yeah.
Like before Cisco, I was working in these like very early stage companies where you're you're like pushing to production, or like
Hmm.
there's like no real systems in place, which
Oh
two
yeah.
ends of the spectrum. You don't want to. It's pretty dangerous to be pushing directly to production and all of that, but I think you don't want to be on the other side where it's extremely extremely delayed.
Yeah, dude. And especially like when you're a founder, that's such a difficult decision to make, because you obviously want to ship as quickly as possible, but you don't want to annoy your customers. You don't want the product to break. So that's pretty, I do see how that's super relevant. So I'm curious, like, how did you think about that? Why did you make that decision, to list Quora on acquire.com?
I think so. Looking back, what I would do and what I plan to do for my next exit is definitely have a good group of like advisors and mentors
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
just get their advice to
Hmm.
sort of see. But the reason that we sold Quora was A, it was like a decent chunk of our portfolio's revenue. So we
Hmm.
wanted to like de-risk a
Yeah.
lot of reasons. So that was one. Another one was I didn't really know like founder product fit. I didn't necessarily like the product. I also didn't like AI replies. I saw the value in
Hmm.
it, but
Yeah.
it was something where I would see some of them sometimes and be like, this is horrible. The second I saw that, that was like, okay,
Yeah. Yeah.
acquire.com, input all the
Yeah.
details and list, because knowing just that if Grok released it, potentially it's I'm not going to compete with Elon Musk. At least, yes,
Yeah. Dude,
not.
actually, the two of the reasons you mentioned, like de-risking and the founder product fit, is probably, I would say, some like two of the best reasons to sell. I think especially de-risking, like what you mentioned, like if it's a majority of the portfolio income, that risk is very high, right? And then if there's something like Grok releases the feature, or if, there's some popular tool out there, like like a social media scheduling tool like Buffer, right?
Yeah.
That just releases that as a feature. Then like you're immediately you're just so much harder for you to compete, and the value of your product, of your business goes down a lot in any potential buyer's eyes. And then the founder product fit, I feel like, is probably the best reason to sell.
I wanted to find that like founder product fit, something that I really like building. And
Yeah,
it took me a while, but now I think I have it, which is like DM Pro, the one that's one of the big ways we grew Quora was having a virtual assistant send out cold DMs. And we
nice.
did it for like all of our tools essentially. And so that's where I really feel that I see the value in cold DMs. And now that I can build a SaaS around it is pretty nice.
Yeah, dude. No, I totally agree with that. And honestly, like I do think that like you do need to work on something that you feel excited by, or even if not excited by, because you can't be excited by everything, but like something you would use yourself, right? Something that you feel like is solving a problem, I'm curious, like, so you exited the business on acquire.com. Was there a ton of buyer interest? Like, what was that initial buyer process and screening look like? Or did you just have one person who was like, I want this no matter what?
There was tons of buyer interest.
Nice.
I think it's just like any funnel, it'll get
Yeah,
smaller by each step. So
true,
tons of
true,
people,
true.
LOIs, intro calls, and then people would like
Hmm.
ghost you after.
Yeah, no, dude, as a seller, you really like your buyer can take advantage of you sometimes. Like you said, like people do intro calls, they get like your revenue numbers, internal data, and then just ghost you. So that's something that you need to be careful of as a seller, especially if there are like competitors or other agency owners, that are just like looking at your stats. But I do think like having a buyer that keen on the product, has like a vision for it himself or themselves, that's really, really important because that's how you see how genuine a buyer is. That's how you see how you can trust them, so I'm curious, like, what do you think the buyer saw in Quora when he acquired it? Was it for the cash flow? Was it for the users? What do you think that was?
I think there's like a few things. So the person who bought it had a marketing agency, and a lot of our revenue at that time was coming from agency plans.
Yeah,
So he had tons of clients that he could basically instantly
nice.
go to and add tons of revenue that way.
Yeah,
My time is spread too thin where if I have all these businesses without them being automated to an extent, they're just going to be stagnating or stagnant when I'm not focused on them. So I really sold that where I showed him that
hmm.
he can essentially buy it as an asset. He doesn't have to buy a founder. It's not a business where I'm sure you know the term. There's something in private equity where it's like key business person.
Yeah, key
Um,
person risk.
oh yes, key person
Yeah,
risk. Yeah. So there was none of that where like
yeah,
me in the business or not in the business. I was there just for strategy. He's buying it. He can do that as well.
yeah. Dude, let me tell you, and for any of our listeners or viewers, like that is the best pitch for any buyer. Like very little dependency on the founder, right? That means that like because if the business is dependent on you, then if we take you out and we buy you out, then like it loses a lot of its value, right? So having like a team that's working on the business that can transfer with the business, having a lot of the processes, systems automated, so I know that like a lot of my clients would like jump at that immediately. So I definitely think maybe a little bit knowingly, maybe unknowingly, you like really hit the nail on the head in that like that is what most buyers are looking for, right? Low founder dependency, low risk, right? Operational risk, effort required, and just have like a cash flowing asset, right? Something that's steadily bringing in revenue. And then if it's something that's adjacent to your own business or that you have networks or things like that that you have access to, then there's really nothing like it. I'm curious, like, what was the actual process of selling the business right? So you had this founder who came to you. He seemed really interested in the business. Was there a lot of negotiations, or how did you all decide upon that price?
There was some negotiations, and then I think the main thing was, like he said, he was interested, and it was just
Hmm.
okay. What are the fine details that we have to
Yeah,
come through to
yeah,
move forward?
yeah.
Um, and like one thing that really showed that he was interested is that a competitor of ours listed on acquire.com, and
Hmm.
he like told us like, hey, I looked at this, I was trying to acquire it, but they were just they weren't like I forget. I think they were asking for like a very high multiple for what they were
Yeah.
at.
No, dude, I mean, like, in both sides, I guess, in any negotiation, both sides have to feel like they won a bit, lost a bit, you know? So I feel like that is a pretty fair price. And then it depends, right? If the seller wants to set the price, you as the buyer get to set the terms. I'm curious, like, was the due diligence period, like, how long did that take for you?
The due diligence period was very fast
Nice.
because we did a lot of talking before due
Hmm.
diligence,
Yeah, fair.
going over like we had tons of calls, and so we already he already knew what was there. So due diligence was purely just making sure that everything was true. So he just checked like payment processor. And he had someone like review the code base and all of that. But
Hmm.
it was like a week or 2 weeks. It was like
Oh, no
very, very
way.
fast. Yeah,
Dude, a
extremely
week is
fast.
really fast. That's actually really cool. I'm curious, like, so was your exit during your time at Cisco or was it after? Because you were working on the your product Qura.AI that you sold during your time at Cisco as well, right?
Yes. Depending on who's asking, I think maybe I wasn't working on it when I was at Cisco, only working at Cisco, but the times overlapped. So yeah, I was, and so like the second month into Cisco, I was basically investing all of my salary into
Oh,
like my businesses.
damn.
So like I had an agency, and I started working really hard to automate it. So like engineer, project manager, that way it wasn't me. The way that agency
Hmm,
started was like me as a freelancer doing stuff. And then yeah, once I was doing the agency stuff, and I maybe from Twitter, I'm not sure where I really learned more about the SaaS stuff, but I saw that that's what I want to get into. So
nice. Yeah.
already had the engineers, clients were essentially paying for them. Um, so I was like, let's start building some SaaS.
Dude, I love the fact that you were like, I'm 1 year or 6 months into my job. I'm just gonna pour my entire salary into side projects, agency. Like that's when you know you're an entrepreneur at your core. You know, when like
Yes.
the the level of risk, you know, that you're taking, like most people will be like, oh, let me save that money, invest that money, you know, but I love that you were like, no, you know, I want to build, I want to grow, I want to do something cool. Um, so what was that transition like, you know, from working full time to entrepreneurship? Do you feel like it was like a gradual transition that you had to make, or was it like a bit quick?
It was like a at the time. I think it's a sort of long transition.
Yeah, yeah.
Like at the time, it was sort of smooth, but I was
Hmm.
starting to see even now, like it's a the risk tolerance is crazy. Like you,
Yeah,
entrepreneurship isn't for everyone. Like it's insane. Like I remember putting most of my salary into it, being fine, but now it is like stressful at times.
yeah,
But it's like
yeah.
it's so addicting. I think is like just seeing those crazy ups, crazy downs. It both sides of the spectrum again. It's like very very nice, and um, I guess I'll. It's a never ending game. Like I'll always learn more from it.
Dude, 100%. The game itself is also constantly changing. Like
Yeah.
the amount that, let's say, 3 years ago or 5 years ago, for you to do what you're doing to build, you know, a portfolio of projects of software businesses would probably have been like much more capital intensive, you know, than it is right now. And yeah, there's so many things like from AI UGC to the way the distribution has come out. Like even just simply like the TikTok explore page that came out like, I don't know, like 5 years ago, 7 years ago. I'm not sure the exact date was, but like before that, you didn't really have as much organic discovery, so
Yeah,
that's
that is
like these
true.
these kinds of things have completely changed the game and the landscape for entrepreneurs like us, especially like us who are like basically internet native, you know. But yeah, so I'm curious, like in terms of your first product, Quora, how did you come upon that idea? Was it the first thing that you worked on?
Oh, yeah. I'll see if I can pull this up on Notion. Before Quora, I had tons of products, and that's where I was like losing a lot of money because I would just see a product, not do any research, and just know that I was a builder. And I think this is what a lot of like indie hackers and like builders get wrong is that they see a product, they're like, okay, if I can build it better, people are going to come out of nowhere.
Yeah.
You need to really do research, and like gap analysis is like a really big thing. Like top three competitors, see exactly what they have, like what are the differences. We made like a booking app for the beauty industry. That one, I was a little bit better at getting people to it, but the product was
Hmm.
very bad. Like there were so many things that we just overlooked. Integrations with calendars. People aren't going to use a booking schedule if they have to use that and then manually update it to their
Oh
calendar.
yeah. Yeah, yeah.
So
Never.
there was tons of people who like got on it and they just left instantly. They were like, okay, this is not what we want.
Yeah.
Bye. But after a while, what I learned was if you can find a product that is niche and has competitors
Yep.
that are doing
Yep.
good, and if you analyze the competitors and really see that they don't have something that you can't like recreate, then that's sort of like the gold mine. And that's what it was with Coro, where the product was very simple, like a Chrome
Hmm.
extension doing replies for Twitter. And the main like sauce or the main like value is just making sure that the replies are good quality, not AI slop.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and that was something that could be built out very fast. Like it was built out in under like 24 hours. Or, like
So
hello,
you built it in 24
sorry,
hours and then
yeah,
you sold it. So how long was it from building it to actually exiting the company?
12 months. I think it was under 12 months or
Nice.
like exactly
Nice.
12 months. We built
Yeah.
it March 2024, sold it March 2025. Like what we went after was agencies who were managing other people's accounts and they needed to make sure the replies sounded like their clients. So they could use Quora for that.
Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense. So can you tell me, like, I think that timing point is something insanely important, and it's what founders, anybody that has a business that's making $500 a month or $500,000 a month, like, it's very difficult to know when to actually exit, right? When is the right time? Is your valuation high right now? Is it gonna, are there gonna be lesser buyers in 6 months, more buyers? Yeah, no, I think it also comes down to having the right buyer, right? Somebody who trusts you, somebody who's not looking to just like do over due diligence, right? Like triple check every single thing, get like your tax statements, bank statements. But that's pretty cool. I'm wondering, like, after you exited the business, like, did you immediately dive into other projects, or did you already have a couple of other products, like, kind of in the works? Because I feel like after that, after an exit, almost all founders feel a bit of a slump. Either it's like, hey, like that thing that I was working on like 4 or 5 hours a day for the past how many ever months or years is gone now, right? It's not my responsibility. So I'm curious, did you feel that? How did you deal with that?
Yeah, I definitely had like a little bit of a slump. I had one SaaS product still there,
Hmm.
and we had tons of like we sold lifetime deals before.
Yeah. Yeah.
So for a bit, my goal was essentially reactivating those users. We also had a lot of like we had lifetime users and then free users.
Hmm.
So I was trying to like upsell the lifetime users some other stuff. Not a lot of that converted because they already paid lifetime. They're like, hey, what is going on here? And then the free users, a little bit better conversion rate. But then yeah, when I got back, I was like traveling a bit after the sale. Went to like Egypt, Jordan, Greece,
Nice.
then got back to Chiang Mai, the place that I love the most. I spent most of my time there. Yeah, we built a tool to input your brand details, and then you get 30 days of on-brand content with the goal of like attracting your audience and funneling them to your product, website, whatever it might be. And yeah, for a few months I was like focused on that. I had that like passing. It was doing good. And then the one thing that sort of like turned me off about that is that our biggest market for there wasn't the American market, but it's the Chinese market. And
Really?
I guess it's because they see the content and it's a lot more high quality, maybe. English isn't their first language. So we're still going that route. We're like doubling down on the Chinese market. And my main focus is on DM Pro, which is tool to automate Twitter cold DMs. That's something where, again, for Outbrand, we have the VA doing cold DMs. And I found a Twitter cold DM tool.
Dude, that's actually so interesting. So right now you're working on JAWS Global, right? That's a um kind of portfolio of software companies. Can you tell me a bit about that? Like, why choose a portfolio? Like, yeah, why go down this path, you know?
Yeah, there's so many reasons. I think I can't really focus on one thing at a time. And
Hmm.
so that's where, like, I used to just have tons of products, but they, like, wouldn't be really doing anything. Like, before Quora days, just build tons of random stuff,
Yeah.
but no one was talking to users, and it just wasn't there. So that's where, portfolio-wise, I feel like it's better to de-risk. And one thing that I'm, like, passionate about is, like, bridging the gap for opportunity and people who are like just extremely dedicated workers.
Yeah.
So a lot of
Yeah.
the teams that I work with are overseas,
Yeah.
Sri Lanka, India, Nigeria, Pakistan, Egypt, all over the world, because there's extremely hardworking people. And the only thing that's like stopping them is that opportunity. I think so many people, myself included, I was given like a generational alley from my parents. I was born and raised in Silicon Valley. Like I'm, like I wake up every day and I'm so thankful for that. I feel like I have to work as hard as possible because like my parents grew up in Sri Lanka, and the fact that they were able to do what they did, raise three kids in California, is insane. Like I can't even, like what they did is crazy to me. Like that is so thankful for that. And the fact that there's people just like my parents who are working that hard, so focused, but the only thing that they're missing is that opportunity.
Opportunity. Yeah.
That's something that like I really want to focus on. And so with the portfolio, I'm able to do that at a bigger scale where I can have more people working across different products, and that sort of fit with what they're working on.
Honestly, I freaking love that. Like, I love the fact that you're like, trying to give people, especially those that generally wouldn't have these types of opportunities, right? I think there's like literally thousands, if not like tens or hundreds of thousands of people, especially in India, that are extremely smart, are extremely hardworking, but just don't have the opportunities. Like the only opportunity they have, the only job that they can get is like as a delivery person, like there's literally like PhDs in India that have to like they just don't get a job, and they have to go and act like, be a delivery person for Uber or things like that. And that's not a bad job, but for their education and for what their aspirations were, they were ideally looking to work on something a lot more interesting, So I really love that. And so how do you, I'm curious, like, right now you're working on like four different SaaS products, is that right?
Uh, Three different SaaS products.
Three. So how do you like divide your time between these? Is it like you're working on each one daily, or is it like, you're kind of like dividing your time on a weekly basis?
It's like a little bit every day, so I'll check into them
Hmm.
every day. But one thing that I like for just like overall business growth is sort of stepping away. So maybe like it's very like no real structure behind it, like for where I focus my time. But maybe 3 days I'll put like heavy focus into one product.
Hmm.
And the benefit that I see to that is that when I step back into the other two products, I'll see what was really working, like what systems did I have that were
Yeah.
strong, that were falling apart, how was the team working, what like bottlenecks did they have that we can end up like just solving those.
Nice. Interesting. And like, so are you usually like dividing your time between marketing and development? Because like even the two-person team that you mentioned is basically like one person who's doing like social media, customer, that's like marketing. One person is development. So are you like generally mainly focused on just the development or do you do both like equally?
I like to think now that I do more marketing focus. Like
Hmm.
I'll check development every once in a while, but like that's one mistake that I think I made early on is that I was so focused on the product, so
Yeah.
focused on
Yeah.
developing something good. Um, Cluely, like they showed, and they're like, you don't have to have a crazy product if you can do really good marketing. It's a numbers game. I
Yeah.
still I focus on bringing in really good engineers who can like focus on building good products.
Yeah, no, that's really interesting because I feel like, especially like as a founder, even though you're a developer by trade, that's what you spend most of your time doing. I'm sure like others can do that for you, right? But others can't really, they can't make a video, right? That has to be you. They can't post on your Instagram. That has to be you. There's a lot of things that not even just like the founder-led marketing, which I think is becoming really powerful, but also just generally like so many things that only you're going to be able to do as the founder. I'm curious, like, was it a conscious decision, to work on multiple projects, multiple kind of SaaS businesses?
Yes, yeah, I think it came naturally. Uh, it was just like the different stages. Like I used to build out tons of products, um, and like I couldn't just focus on one. And then as things progressed, I realized that it's good to have multiple, but I need to put the focus on like actually making sure I'm growing multiple products as opposed to just
Hmm.
having multiple products. 'Cause that's a big difference. I think there's a
True.
lot of like
True.
indie hackers and just people who have multiple products, multiple whatever, but
Yeah. Yeah.
multiple products like anyone can have multiple products at zero
Yeah.
revenue. That's not. I can go out today. I can launch. I have zero doubt in my mind. I can go out and launch 50 products by the end of next week. Boom! I have a 50 product portfolio. That doesn't mean anything. So that difference from having multiple products to growing multiple products was
Dude,
one
I
thing.
feel like that one line is like the weakness of every indie hacker out there. They never want to market, they just want to build and build. So I think we've been talking like a fair bit about like indie hacking. I want to talk about the other side of the spectrum a little bit. So I'm curious, like, if you ever considered raising VC money or any kind of like venture funding or investors, because especially like, let's say after having worked at Cisco, the youngest ever full-time engineer, sold your first software company at 20. Yeah, that a lot of people might, choose to then go out and raise a bunch of money, for their next idea. So were you ever attracted by that?
Yes. So there's so one thing is that I raised before for a company that I worked at. Um, Honestly, can't say too much about them because it didn't end
No
too
worries.
well. Ended in a and but yeah. But now I one thing that I do have planned and I've talked to a few people about is raising a fund. I think there's a lot of talented indie hackers. I was gonna actually
Yeah.
there was this one indie hacker who had like 6 products all doing decent, but he had products that were making money, but as opposed to like doubling down on them, he would want to keep building. So
Build a
we were
new
going to
one. Yeah.
acquire all of those products, but one of my mentors suggested it's a lot better to focus on the systems,
Hmm.
getting those in place. That way, time is right, raise a fund, easily duplicate those systems, and just do what I'm doing now, but at scale. Um, Bring in tons of other people to essentially duplicate me, um, and do what I'm doing. So yeah.
You've had some experience with raising, you know what it's like. You have like an exact vision or like kind of plan in mind, for how you want to raise, what you want to do with it, which I feel like a lot of founders don't actually have when they actually raise the money. It's more about like, or at least when they start the process where they're like, oh, I want to raise money for this idea. So yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I'm curious, like, would you want to raise that fund like in the US, or do you have it in mind to be more like a global kind of thing?
I think definitely global. Stars global.
Nice. I
So we'd
love
have
that.
to. Yeah, I've met a lot of great people around the world, and I've had a lot of people already like say they want to invest. So that's another thing that started like pushing me. I used to be very focused on bootstrap. Like, no, I don't want to deal with
Hmm.
investors, but
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
doing it the right way is the big thing, like
yes.
raising the studio fund and a lot of fine details that have to be combed through, but definitely
True, true.
global.
Dude, I love that. I really love that idea. Let me know whenever you're looking for investors.
Oh,
That
yes. I'll let you.
Dude, that's actually really cool. And like, especially like if you can build the right team, because it's systems goes along with the team, because you can have great systems, but you need the right people to fill into them, you know. I'm curious, like, let's say there's somebody else that wants to do what you're doing, right? Travel the world, have, three different SaaS products, have a team that's working for them. Like, what advice would you give to them? How would you tell them to get started, or get to where you are at?
Oh, I think the risk tolerance, like you said earlier, is a big thing.
Mm,
And then you have to be like extremely, extremely focused. Sometimes like people say it's opportunity, but I think that if you know what you want to do,
mm,
a lot of opportunity is distractions. I think like the most cliche thing, like never give up. That
mm.
a lot of these cliche advice, it's very true. Never give up. Believe in yourself. Um, I think all of those things. Yeah, just
Dude, literally, I totally get what you mean. I recently found out like a month ago that one of my employees is like married, and I had no idea. And I was like, whoa, dude. Like it just changed my perspective. It just feels like more of a responsibility. He was like saying like soon he wants to like have a kid, start a family. I was like, damn, that's really grown up stuff. So yeah, I do get what you
exactly.
mean. I'm curious, like I feel like there's a lot of indie hackers, that are in India or in US, Europe, wherever it might be, right? That maybe don't have the opportunity, right? Either they're stuck in college or they just don't have like the opportunities in terms of like jobs around them. So I'm curious, like, how would you suggest them to like go about building that first product and not just about building it, but actually getting that initial revenue? So, like, what advice would you have for somebody that wants to do that, like wants to build something and then sell it, let's say a year or 2 years from when they're starting?
Oh yes. I'm gonna preface this with saying that I'm extremely, extremely like the situation I'm in is like extremely. I'm so grateful for it. So thankful for it. Like my parents gave me a lot of opportunity growing up in San Francisco, all of that. So like I was all these things I had going on. I was able to focus on what I did. I know
Hmm.
that everyone has different situations, right? Everyone has extremely hard challenges.
Yeah.
But I think that I want to preface with that. The thing is, like, make excuses or make it happen is the biggest thing. So, like, at the end of the day, I know
True.
everyone's
True.
going through extremely hard things.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, one thing that I see is if you really say that, like, Like look at your screen time. I think that's a big thing that people might need to do and see, because I've seen a lot of people say like, "Oh, I don't have time to do this. I don't have time to make a video." But you have time to scroll on TikTok for 30 minutes, 2 hours. I've seen some crazy
Yeah,
screen times. And
yeah,
so, like, how bad do you want it? Make excuses or make it happen. Um, I think knowledge isn't the barrier; it's purely just action. You can go online. There's tons of great resources, so many YouTube videos, um, tons of insanely talented entrepreneurs sharing so much value. Alex Hormozy, Dan
yeah,
Martell for SaaS. He shares a lot
yeah.
of stuff that has helped me. If you just search up SaaS growth on YouTube, there's so many people, and just filter the advice with people who have done it before. So like Dan Martell is one of my favorite. Simon Hoiberg, I hope I'm saying that right.
Hmm.
There's a lot of amazing people with great advice. So knowledge isn't the barrier. It's purely just action. Make
Yeah.
excuses or make it happen. I know everyone has tough challenges, but I'm sure there's something you, if you didn't have to sacrifice something to get where you're at, everyone would be doing it, right? You have to make some sacrifice. You have to go through some challenge. Um, so yeah, I'd say that that's the advice.
Dude, I love that. And I do honestly think that's like people need to keep themselves accountable. You know, you need to have a goal in mind, whether that's a 1 week goal, a 6 month goal, work towards that and keep yourself accountable. You know, it's really not about like doing something magical. It's just about that consistent work. Yeah, I feel like you really that's some really good advice. What would because I think you have a fair few like I'd say maybe not contrarian, but like different takes. You know, I'm curious, like, what would you say is your favorite or your most kind of contrarian thought or idea?
Oh, I have so many. I like that question a lot. Hard to choose from. Um, I think my favorite, piggybacking off the thing I just said, maybe just like that action is the biggest bottle, or actually maybe, yeah, I think action is the biggest bottleneck. Is probably like my biggest contrarian view.
Interesting.
I don't know how contrarian it is, but I think a lot of people like say that it's something else, like, oh, I didn't have this, I didn't have that. But
Hmm.
if it really comes down to it, if you really focus on something, do something, and do it enough, and then like analyze it, don't just keep failing 10 times in a row. Fail, see why you failed, and then improve. You're
Hmm.
bound, like, it's just a matter of time before you get good at it. One contrarian, like, I fully believe that if I spent my life focusing on being a hockey player, I would become a very good hockey player. If I set my mind to it, that was the only thing I focused on, all I did every single day of my life, matter of time, I would become a very good hockey player. I think that's the whole growth mindset thing versus fixed mindset. Like you can truly do anything if you like make that your main focus, drop everything else, sacrifice everything, and just I want to become the best hockey player in the world. You might not become the best, but I guarantee you will become very good if that is your true main focus, and you hold yourself accountable. Do that every single day. You're gonna get good.
Where do you see yourself, you know, in the next 5 years? Where do you see Jaws Global?
Cool. I feel like it changes a lot, but hopefully in the next 5 years, or not hopefully, it will. Like mindset right there. In the next 5 years, Stars Global will hopefully be just a massive portfolio of companies working with tons of
Nice.
talented entrepreneurs around the world.
So that's pretty much all the questions I had for you. To end off, I have a couple of like quick fire questions that I thought would be fun to do. So yeah,
Yeah,
feel free to answer these however you like and how much ever detail you want to. So yeah, the first question is, what's one word you would use to describe your approach to entrepreneurship?
YOLO.
So do you mind repeating? I think you
Uh,
cut out a bit.
YOLO.
I love it. I love it. Who's your favorite founder or operator right now?
I'm gonna say my friend Darian Smith.
Nice, nice. And what would you say is your most underrated founder habit?
I mean, I think it trains the mind a lot. A lot of stuff correlates over.
True, true. Um, okay, this is one of my favorite question. What's your most underrated tool or software in your stack?
Microsoft Clarity. Microsoft Clarity, actually.
Oh, interesting. I never used that.
I
Interesting.
love it so much.
Um, Dude, that's awesome. And last question is like, do you have any like books or podcasts, that you really enjoy or that you think really resonate with you?
Yes, one book that I used to carry around a lot was How to Succeed: Dynamic Mind Principles to Change Your Life. One thing that I'm really big on is like mindset. If you believe it, you can achieve it. And I've heard it a lot from a lot of people who are years ahead of me, my mentors. Like, you truly have to believe it in your mind. Everything is in your mind. Like, you're the only one who thinks in your mind. Whatever you think will be. So yeah, How to Succeed: Dynamic Mind Principles to Shape Your Life. It's a very short book. You can read it fast, but I used to just open a page randomly and read it because it just reminds you, like,
Yeah,
I could wake up today, or I could have woken up today and been like, today's gonna be a bad day, and then it'll probably be a bad day because my brain is looking for things to confirm that it's gonna
yeah,
be a bad day. But I wake up every day, it's gonna be a good day. It's gonna be a new day. There's so many opportunities, and tons of opportunities come because my brain is looking for these opportunities. I'm putting myself in situations to chase these opportunities. So that's I could not recommend that book more. Like, that's my favorite book. Read that, and it changed my life. So hopefully it changes
dude.
other people's lives.
I love it. I actually really like that suggestion. I'm definitely going to check out that book because I'm a huge believer in mindset. The last question I have for you is a bit of a I think it's a bit less about what I'd say like you want to build. So I'm curious, like, let's say 10 years or 20 years from now, what would you want people to have said that you built, right? Is that a company? Is that a community? Like, what do you really feel that like, that impact that you want to have on others around you and how they perceive that? What do you want that to look like?
Cool. I think I just want hopefully people to see that, okay, this kid is able to change people's lives in a positive way.
Nice.
Um, and I think that the biggest way is just by, yeah, helping entrepreneurs. And Sri Lanka's that's where I'm from ethnically. My parents are from Sri Lanka. I was born in California. So yeah, hopefully, like, this kid was able to help inspire and, like, support a lot of entrepreneurs in Sri Lanka, and hopefully help Sri Lanka just grow. Not sure exactly, but yeah, if I can positively inspire and, like, support and in any way help these entrepreneurs who are just so many, like, I've probably said it a lot, but there's so many people who are extremely
There's so many
hardworking, but the
people.
only thing
Yeah.
that's missing is the opportunity. If I can be that differentiator and, like, bridge that, give them the opportunity, and yeah, if people can say, like, hey, this is the guy who was able to give that opportunity, because at the end of the day, that's all they're missing. They are extremely hardworking. They can
Yeah.
do all of it, but
Yeah.
if I can just be that small push to get them to the next step, then I'll be extremely happy.
Dude, that's awesome, man. I love that. And just yeah, I really feel the same about India. And no, that's really cool. So dude, that's all the questions I had for you. Thank you so much for joining
Oh,
me on
thank
on the
you.
podcast, and answering all the questions, taking the time. Is there anything that you want to shout out? Where can people follow your journey? If you want to shout out your socials or any of your products, feel free to.
Oh, yes. I think if you just check Johann.FYI, you can see my website. All my socials are there, newsletter. Um, Shout out products, DM Pro if you want to automate Twitter cold DMs. But I think Johann FYI will be the best way because I'll have more products here right now in Shenzhen, China, launching another product. So tons of products coming. Best way to stay updated is Johann.AI, and yeah, hopefully want to build in public more. That's one thing I love. Is from me posting content, I was able to connect with you, which is like I'm so grateful for that. Meeting dope people all the time.
Dude, that's awesome. Thank you so much for your time, man. And I'll definitely make sure to put these links down in the chat as well. And I'm a happy lifetime user of DM Pro. So if anybody wants to use it to automate their Twitter DMs, make sure to check it out.